Welcome to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I am your host, Tricia Carr. Thank you for being here with me today. Oh, I am in a different studio. Now, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I'm in a different studio today. Can you tell? Do I look the same to you? I hope so. Now, I'm going to tell you why. It's a secret, but I'm going to tell you guys, just y'all who are listening. Dr. Drew stole my studio this morning. Dr. Drew stole my studio this morning. No, it's fine. We're at Universal Broadcasting Network Studios here in Hollywood, California, in the amazing Sunset Gower's building. Historic, iconic. Some people say haunted by ghosts. And well, Dr. Drew works here as well, and so that's what happened. He had more people than me, so that's what happened today. But I'm excited about my show anyway, and I want to tell you a couple of things before I bring on my guest. First of all, I have opened up spots for my mentoring program. That's right. I do mentoring as well as 101 sessions for animal communication and mediumship, and I do coaching, intuitive coaching, and mentoring to develop your intuitive abilities. And this is for folks who want to either sort of become a full-time intuitive as a profession, but also for people who just want to live that spiritual life and connect with that inner being and activate their work of light in whatever it is that they do. I actually have a specialty working with artists as well, since I myself have always been an artist. So if you're interested in that, I take a limited amount of students every month, or I should say clients every month for my mentoring. You can go to triciacarcharm.com/mentoring. And also, if you would like to work on your intuitive abilities, your intuitive and mediumship abilities, I have a single session, a group session where there's actually coaching and practice and what I call clearing up your filters so that you can connect intuitively. Now, I have beginners come to this class and give evidential intuitive readings and insight and mediumship as well. So when I say mediumship, some folks actually like to connect with people's past loved ones and bring through advice and healing messages that way. And so you can check that out. The next one as of this broadcast is June 19th, 2018 at 6 p.m. I do it about twice per month. It's about a 2-hour class. And you can always find the time that I'm doing the next class by going to triciacarcharm.com/intuitive-development. And so there are a limited amount of spaces there. Also, so sign up now. And now, without further ado, I would like to, say hello to the Lightworkers Lab. Jarvis, I almost forget every single week now. And hello to Jarvis Essex, my amazing intuitive producer, reminding me to say hello to the Lightworkers Lab, an online spiritual community in which I am a guide and a teacher, founded by my friend Crystal Ann Compton. You can find the Lightworkers Lab on Facebook as a group. And by searching the Lightworkers Lab. It's a fellowship, it's a community, all kinds of amazing free resources by incredible teachers, readers, and healers. I can't say enough about it, but it is really, the fellowship is so, it fosters your own development and the sense of community. You know, when we join our light, then our light grows exponentially. Okay, and now, with that, I would like to bring on my guest today. He is the author of 5 nonfiction books, the founder of Soul Matrix Healing. He was the director for the nonprofit organization called Alternatives, which hosts spiritual authors and facilitators around the world. He's amazing. He is a starseed, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Welcome to the show, Steve Nobel.
Hi, Tricia.
Hi there. So lovely to have you. Steve is calling in on the show from the UK, so I appreciate you taking time to minister to us with your in profound knowledge of this topic.
Well, pleasure. Thank you for inviting me all the way to Hollywood. I'm just here on the East Sussex coast, which is just south of London, away from the hustle and bustle of everything.
Oh, you're so lucky.
I'm finding it really good just being by the sea air, and it's just seagulls and me and a few people around, so it's great.
Oh, that's wonderful. I envy you. Well, I try to create that with my 6 cats and 5 birds in Burbank, California. Someday I'll get back to near the sea. I know I'm being called there. Well, I did mention in the intro just a little bit of your background. You have a fascinating story, many experiences of awakening, and you have come to have a specialty in helping and healing and working with starseeds. So where shall we start? Yeah. A bit of your background, the work that you do, what a starseed is, in case someone isn't familiar with this term. What do you think?
Wow. A bit about my background. I was born in the late 50s, born into a very sleeping family, working class British family. When I was a child, my pull to spirituality was through superhero comics and Doctor Who and eventually Star Trek as I was an adolescent, But I remember my family were not very impressed with my interests. And I remember one show from America called Bewitched. You probably remember it.
Of course, absolutely. I was raised on Bewitched.
Yeah, my father absolutely refused to let me see it for quite a while. He said it wasn't suitable. So this was the kind of family I had. And I grew up eventually getting the idea that I should try and be normal. Hey, there it is. Bewitched.
Yeah.
I love Bewitched, twitching of the nose and everything.
Yes. And Tabitha had to use her finger because she couldn't. Yeah, she was too little. Tabitha, the daughter. I always. It was I was about Tabitha's age when it was on TV, I think so.
Well, that show, we'll come to the Starseed thing, but that show kind of highlights a little bit the kind of the ordinary humans versus more Starseed types. They can kind of live together, cohabit perhaps, but they're very two different types of people. But my attempt to becoming normal didn't really work very well. I went into the banking world. I got married. I had 2 children by the age of 25. But I felt that somehow I was off track and missing something. I was searching, but couldn't find what I was searching for. And it took the death of my father really to kickstart me off. This was my first big awakening. His death liberated me from some spell, and I remember just being in this state of flow actually afterwards, and synchronicity, and experiencing all kinds of connections. Within 6 months, I'd met all the main spiritual teachers that were going to be important for me for the next 20 years. So it was incredible 6 months. And I remember feeling that I'd never experienced synchronicity before. I'd never experienced flow before. All I'd experienced before then was kind of pushing and struggle and competing and the usual 3D things, So life started opening up. I had awakening. I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. So I found a mentor who mentored me, went to a lot of workshops. My ex-wife was very unhappy about that when she discovered it. And we eventually separated. It was very difficult, painful. But on the one hand, magical, liberating. On the other hand, difficult because there was 2 young children involved as well. So I was off on my path, and I started exploring everything. I was fascinated with shamanism, with metaphysics, with personal development. I dived in everything. I was doing all kinds of magical courses, metaphysical courses, energy healing courses. So probably for 20 years, I immersed myself in the whole mind, body, spirit scene. I was clearing my blockages, and I was talking to angels, and I was manifesting car parks and much more besides that. And eventually there was another big shift that happened. I met my second partner. She was a healer. We stayed together for 12 years. I became a director for this company, Alternatives, which was amazing. Based in a church in London, in the basement. We were kind of affectionately known as the heretics in the basement. And we put on all kinds of people, a bit like this talk show. But we had the Deepak Chopra and the Byron Katie's and the Brandon Bays and the Neil Donald Walshes, all these kind of people that are well known in the mind, body, spirit field. And we even had tea with them. This is a blessing I had. I remember having tea with Eckhart Tolle and a number of people from The Secret. I met 3 or 4 of them. And so it just went on and on and on. It was an amazing time. But then 2010, another shift happened to me. I was resisting another soul calling. I was happy, basically. And so I wasn't going to go chasing off another soul calling. I was getting lots of impulses to shift my life, to change. And I basically, refused and resisted. It's easier actually to accept the calling when you have a life that doesn't work.
It's so
but when
true.
you have a life that works,
yes,
I think my life's working. Why should I go off on another whole adventure? I've done my time, 20 years, but the calling was insistent. I refused it, and basically my life kind of blew up. And my second long-term relationship kind of started to break down. I resigned from alternatives, and really I was at the brink of another whole adventure, and it wasn't an easy one for sure. I went through a dark night of the soul, I think because of the resistance, and I came out the other side. And then all of this started kicking off, all this ascension and starseed stuff. And I was getting lots of downloads, lots of kind of guides talking to me. And although initially I did resist it, I realized if I resisted it, I had 4.5 years of a dark night of the soul. Probably not a good idea to resist this stuff. So I said yes to everything, you know. And my mind did go a bit crazy. I remember doing my first workshop on Starseeds. And in the morning I woke up and my kind of ego said, tell me you're not going to go through with this. And there was a part of me still not very completely happy with it, but I went through with it. And the last 2 years, which I've been really on this fast-paced journey of doing ascension, starseed stuff, working with star races, I've gone on a very fast learning curve myself, you know. So here I am talking about starseeds, ascension, and really 5 or 6 years ago, I probably wouldn't even totally have believed exactly in this stuff. I was much more pragmatic. I wanted to know about spirituality for practical applications in my life. I was very interested in we create our reality and shifting things and clearing blocks and being in the flow. But starseeds and ascension, you know, this was not really in my way of thinking. So, but now very much it is. So my life, as soon as I said yes to it, my life took off at a rapid pace. And, you know, I've been living with I call her my third wife. It's not really my third wife, but we've been together for 3 months. And she said to me, when does this stop, this kind of rapid pace? And I said, I don't think it's ever going to stop, actually. You know, just get used to it. And rapid pace being challenges and lots of amazing opportunities and blessings. So, you know, for me, I'm kind of used to this rapid pace now. So, but I understand for her, it's been a challenge being with me. So I have to hug her every hour and kiss her probably every half an hour.
That's a great practice.
Yeah.
It's a good punishment.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, that rapid pace, I know exactly what. But what's interesting is then, but you still experience times where you're like, but things aren't happening fast enough at the same time, and you have to kind of take a moment and step back and say, oh, wait a minute, it's happening really fast, because that's what I experience.
Yeah, I'm not really doing things like vision boarding or
no, I don't
focusing.
do that either. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't kind of do that so much anymore. All I do now is surrender to the highest light, the highest path, and really, it's almost like I do kind of muse occasionally. Wouldn't it be nice to run retreats in, you know, Istanbul and Bulgaria or whatever? And I've had these little musings, but it's not like I have to. And I know that my life is going to involve more travel and more teaching around the world, then that's fine, and I'm really open for that. But the timing of it and where I go, I'm really open to the guys, you know, around me who are managing all of this, and they're doing a brilliant job. But this year, I mean, people listening, I'm sure many starseeds would have felt last year and this year at a rapid pace. These 2 years are pivotal in this kind of acceleration process. And this year, it seems to be going ever so much faster. The more starseeds say yes to the process, the easier it goes for them, the more ease and grace it is, and the more rapid it goes. The more resistance there is, the more challenge that brings up, or the more the mind gets involved going, is this right? Should I be doing this? The more challenge is involved there. So it's really about trusting your intuition, trusting your guidance, feeling a good connection to those beings, connecting you, your higher self. There are many, all starseeds have many guides around them. Higher self, star races. Many starseeds have animal guides or very earthly guides, which are very good with practical things. They have very angelic guides around. So there's lots of beings around. There are ascension teams and healing teams. There's all kinds of teams that are around to be called upon. So these can be called upon. And we need to ask for help. We need to have a chat with them. Very often I have emails saying, it's going too fast. It's too much. My body's too intense, you know. So I just say to them, or I had one actually before the call coming here, and someone said, I've told my guides to stop it, but it still keeps coming. And I said to them, well, actually, you can't tell them to stop it, but you can tell them to slow it down.
Yeah.
It's too intense. So that's the thing. Don't tell them to stop it, because you've already agreed to this process and they won't stop it. But tell them it's too much and can you turn it down, and they will. If they're listening, they should be listening to you, and they should do that. So this year is a very intense year. The future calling us, the higher self, the soul is calling us. And whereas most people on the planet are not starseeds, and 99% who are not starseeds are mostly driven by the past. Not all, but a lot of them are driven by the past, by their conditioning. But starseeds, when they wake up, are increasingly driven by an impulse that most people wouldn't understand on the planet. And certainly if you're born in non-starseed families, which a lot of people are, don't expect your parents or your siblings to understand you unless they're starseeds. Because if they don't understand you, there's no point really sitting there telling them about your angels or telling them about, the star system you're from. They would just think you're crazy. The best thing, with my kids, I just tell them what they need to know on a need to know basis. They say, "What are you up to?" And I just usually say, "No good." I'm up to no good, and they find it funny. They probably say, "Oh, Dad, that means you're up to your weird stuff again." And I say, "Well, you know me,
Yeah.
No.
Yes, we can meet. We can meet them where they are. And so Starseed.
So this year is a very.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. This year's a. Go ahead, Steve. Oh, we're having some overlap, I think.
Yeah.
There you are. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Go ahead, Tricia. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's all right. You're saying this year is moving very quickly particularly for starseeds. That's all right. You could go ahead. Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's just a little bit of a lag. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's all right. So, starseeds, like everyone else. Well, I should say what starseeds are, shouldn't I? Really?
Yeah. Thanks.
Let's talk about. Yeah. Let's talk about starseeds. Well, the signs of a starseed would be something like. Basically, a starseed is a multidimensional spiritual being. Everyone is a multidimensional spiritual being, but most people have no awareness of it. Only starseeds really have that connection. Starseeds come from many different places, worlds, dimensions. They've experienced the multidimensional show, and they've come here for service because the planet is waking up and ascending. Starseeds are basically high-frequency beings who incarnate in 3D bodies. And when they start waking up, the body starts to accommodate high frequency of light, and that creates a certain amount of symptoms or pressures. People, when they start waking up, gets all kinds of head aches, ringing in the ears, flu symptoms, aches and pains. Some people might think they're even dying, think they need to get their brain scanned or something. But mostly if you go to the doctor, they usually can't find anything. It's ascension symptoms. 3D dimension of Earth is not a starseed's natural home. So Earth seeds have been here for a long time. They realize that water is wet and rocks are hard, and reality creation, what are you talking about? So, but starseeds go, no, I understand that we have higher abilities than 3D is offering us at the moment. Starseeds at some level know they're here for a reason, but they forget what it is. So it's difficult because they go through the birth canal, and basically they forget everything, especially if they're in a non-starseed family. And the waking up is just like any waking up process. It's like Morpheus giving you the red pill. You wake up to something else. Most people have to deal with their ego 3D mind going, are you going crazy? Or they have to deal with old conditioning that have to break through. They have to deal with all kinds of stuff, which is partly what I do with starseeds. It's clearing out the old and allowing them to step into the new. It's clearing out 3D conditioning from bloodlines, from family, from the 3D matrix itself, from other lifetimes, agreements, contracts. There's all kinds of stuff to get in the way. So this is what I do. So starseeds are here to help the planet wake up. They're almost like a light virus. They incarnate into the darkness, and when they wake up, they bring a tremendous light. And it's almost like a virus body. It starts to try and shift the body from the inside out. So it wouldn't work, for example, if starseeds were just in the kind of inner planes, discarnate, sending love and light to the planet, going, come on, transition, awaken everyone. They need to incarnate into the darkness. Many starseeds incarnate into very dark families, and they need to transform the bloodlines. They need to transform the societies and neighborhoods around them just by holding more light in their energy fields. They are the 1% that's going to, well, less than 1% actually, that's going to transform the planet. They're shifting the whole consciousness of the planet. And if you look at the consciousness of the planet, even over the last 20 years, there's been massive shifts. Because I remember in the 60s and 70s that, you'd never hear people on a bus, for example, or a train talking about their past lives or feng shui or any of this stuff. It's all entered the mainstream language now. And even though there are a lot of skeptics for it, more and more people are open to spirituality as a way of dealing with their stress and their unhappiness. So there's definitely been a shift. And the thing about Starseeds is that for a long time, they've been in a very small minority. But after 2012 trigger point, which was the real decision point for the planet. The decision was at 2000, does the planet ascend or does it eventually blow itself up or destroy all its ecosystems? And Starseeds are here to help the planet make a different choice. And the timeline of destruction has been shifted. If you look back over, for example, Hollywood over the last 20, 30 years, lots of Armageddon type films came out, Terminator series, where the planet just blows itself up. And this was very much people channeling the timeline of where the planet was heading. And I remember when I was thinking of having children, thinking, do I want to bring children into this world where, the possibility of Armageddon is so strong, right. But then we decided to have them anyway. Some part of me said, just bring them in, don't worry about it. And now a lot of the films coming out of Hollywood are dystopian films, like Blade Runner, we survived, but it's kind of these weird futures where the planet's kind of a bit dark and seedy, these kind of things. This is still kind of echoes of the timeline, but there are a lot of other films which are tuning into the other timeline, the one which the planet's on now, and a lot of these films, such as Arrival and Interstellar,
I loved Arrival. Yes,
and great films. They have this kind of circular vision of time where the future is informing the current reality. And even the Harry Potter film, there was one of his future self comes and rescues him from the Dementors. So there's a lot of this coming into Hollywood now, the future loops of time where the future is informing the present. Oh, great. There we are, Harry. So, and Hollywood kind of reflects the collective consciousness, the variety of levels of the collective consciousness. So it's entering the collective consciousness now. So in 2012, more starseeds are entering the planet. I think the incarnation rate up to something like 30%. So one in children shift from before, and probably about 15 years time, I understand that the rate of starseeds incarnating will double. So, which means in probably about 70 to 100 years, the entire planet will shift because the consciousness of the planet will not be the same. We've been on a planet for thousands of years, which has been a dark planet. And what I mean by that is it's been run by slightly insane people, and the consciousness of the planet has been very low. Any spiritual teacher come in here, such as the classic one would be Jesus Christ, who came for the Western world. And he incarnated in Palestine in a very tumultuous time and was kind of bumped off, and his message was grabbed and twisted by forces on the planet, for various reasons. There's, translation, but all deliberate twisting of the message. And if you look at the history of the church, there may be a lot of well-meaning people in the church, but the history of the church is not a happy one. It's full of war and inquisition and torture and killing and burnings of heretics, and something the church would probably like to forget, but it's well embedded in the history. Whereas if you go to the East, one of the main teachers of the East would be someone like the Buddha. He incarnated in a very different type of energy, but even so, his message has been kind of grabbed and mistranslated. And I lived with lots of Buddhists in a community for a number of years, and I didn't feel much light or happiness there, I must say. So I feel whatever light was in that path has kind of not gone out, but it's not really very effective. And whatever light was in the Christian message, as taken by the vehicles of most Christian churches, most of that light has gone out, really. Yes, if you go there, you're just going to get interference and all kinds of stuff. I'm sorry if anybody listening to this I know America loves evangelical churches, and it might not be a very nice message, because church can, of course, bring a lot of hope and community, but actually you have to be careful of interference with any organized religion, because energetically it can block your light as well. And I'm happy to talk about that if anybody has any questions about that.
Well, I actually
I've been talking on. Yeah, go on.
I think I have a lot of my listeners, well, you know how energy works. They're attracted to me because I was in evangelical Christianity, and that was how my first spiritual growth happened when I was actually a child, when I was a youth, and then I left the church. And so I have people reach out to me, say, I found you, and how do you release the fear when you've come out of the church? So I think it actually is quite a blessing. I think a lot of the people who listen to Charmed Life actually, or they're not offended by what you're saying at all. And I have to share something with you, Steve. So what you're talking about with the sort of waves of starseeds coming in, I just had a QHHT session. That's the quantum healing hypnosis technique. It was last Sunday, actually. It was a week ago exactly. And in my session, what came forward was a message about that, basically about, because I had a Soul Matrix session with Steve. By the way, you guys, check it out. Really, it's powerful. And I have my second one with him tomorrow as this is being broadcast. I'm really excited about it. But from that, because I did also incarnate into a very dark family bloodline, very dark. And in my QHHT session, it came through that, because a lot of people reach out to me and say, why do so many starseeds or light workers have such challenging, dark, abusive, whatever childhoods? And part of the reason is because there weren't really that many other families. there weren't very many families that were awakened in the timeline of, when I came here. And partly also because we sort of went to the dirtiest mess to clean it up just with our vibration. And that it was like, if your house is a complete mess, well, you start by taking out the stinking, rotten trash, and then you sweep up the floor after that. You kind of take care of the messes as you can. But what came through is what you're saying is that, the waves that are coming through, the new children, as we're calling them now, the millennials, a lot of them came into, some of them to more awakened families, and that's been helpful. And then the next wave, but the one after that, like not the following wave, pretty much the one of the children who are being born now are being born into other starseed families, or at least awakened families, even if they're earth seeds. But the one after that is going to be, they get so much more work done if they come into awakened families. And so the like two waves from now, basically the one that's incarnating now, the one after that is going to be hugely impactful, because it's just exponentially rising. And I think that's basically what you were just saying, and that came through in my QHHT session.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. A lot of starseeds chose dark family lines because they've come not only to shift the culture, but to go into the real darkness, go into those dark families. And a lot of clients I speak to have had abuse in family lines, some severe abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse. It may be that the family that they've incarnated into, the parents aren't abusive per se, but the bloodline is abusive, that they're picking up energies along from the bloodline. So I think for some people, actually, where they think they have experiences where they think they've been sexually abused, it's not always the case that they have been, but what they're picking, because they got no actual memory of it, but they go, I feel this abuse. What they're feeling is often abuse in the bloodline, I think. Now, that's not true for everyone.
Interesting.
Because some people have been abused.
Yeah.
So the thing about, the very weird thing about this is that starseeds actually are the most sensitive people. So when you send them into the darkest families, they feel it more intensely than other people. So someone who's born in an earthseed family with abuse, who's shut down, may not feel it. They go, well, what's the problem? But you're open, sensitive, feeling it all, and it's all coming through you, and your blowing system's going, what am I in? What's going on? I can't understand it. I'm feeling all this stuff, but it doesn't make sense. Nobody's talking about this stuff. Because particularly if you're going to a family, talk about it, so you're feeling all the stuff and you don't know what it is. And I think in my family, there was lots of secrets. So I was picking up energies, but nobody would talk about it. So I'm like, I just don't. So in a way, starseeds could start thinking, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe what I'm feeling is not actually reality. But it's actually because the family around them want to close down any of those stuff and don't want to speak about it. So starseeds are the pressure valves actually for a lot of families, and they actually do prevent a lot of madness, because even though they can feel like they're going mad, they actually kind of release a lot of energy, and then eventually they learn to transform the bloodline as they kind of get more savvy with energy. There are ways of transforming the bloodline. It's something that I'm really interested in. What I do is, I think bloodlines are so important, really. It's not just about calling in angels. Yes, of course, but it's about looking at what's going on in the mother line and father line and finding out how it's impacting you and neutralizing it and getting rid of it. Because in 3D matrix, energies are passed down the bloodline for children to work through and, deal with. But for starseeds, they're not here to process 3D patterns. They're here to destroy those patterns and neutralize them and get rid of them, so that the descendants, those star children coming further down the line, will not have to deal with all that horrible crap. If you think we've had war, we've had violence, we've had sexual abuse and incest, we've had all kinds of things come down the line. We don't want to be passing that to high frequency starseeds coming in down the line. That's why a lot of starseeds chose this kind of reconnaissance mission going in, and not all of them survived. I mean, some starseeds actually were killed in the process because the darkness was too great, and that has happened. Some people have gone mad because of it, but a lot of starseeds were able to survive it and turn the tables and actually clear it, particularly now in 2012. So it's a risky mission. It's not like, you go into these dark bloodlines and you've got a cast iron guarantee that everything will be fine. It could be that it wouldn't work out, and it won't work out. For some, it hasn't worked out. So this is why they go into these dark families. And now I totally agree with you that the future generations are becoming into awakened parents, and that is such an amazing blessing for them to get on their star mission, their soul mission, I should say.
They don't have
now,
to
I
do
never used
as
to
much
believe
trash
in
taking out.
Sorry?
They don't have to take out as much trash. They can just start working. Yeah.
And a lot of starseeds say, why is my life so hard? And, and me too. Why is my life so hard? But when we learn to be more savvy with energy, life gets a lot easier. And then we enter a flow. It's just like amazing shift out of all that 3D density, all of its nonsense, My life now is so different to what it was 10, 20 years ago, even when I was immersed in spirituality. Now, I think it's almost like I was taken... my energy field was taken and thrown into some energetic washing machine for 4 years, and I went through all of it.
Oh gosh,
and I mean, I didn't believe in lower astral. I didn't believe in hell realms. I absolutely didn't believe, because I trained in shamanism, and in shamanism you go to all kinds of lower worlds. I never found any lower astral. They all were beautiful worlds. But in this dark night, I found, oh my goodness, lower astral entities, demonic creatures. I was kicked for 4 years, and when I came out of that, it's not like, do you believe in it? It's just like, well, I've been kicked for 4 years. For 10 months of that 4 years, I had nightmares every single night of being chased, killed, all kinds of stuff, and it was relentless. And I saw so many healers, but I couldn't find anything to deal with this stuff, which is how I've kind of emerged out and I'm still forming this soul matrix healing to clear all this stuff. So yeah, and I never really believed in all these crystal children and indigo children either. But then when my second partner, her son, was a starseed, and I watched him, he was not like any of my children or any of the children I knew before. The way he thought was different. The way he just downloaded stuff was different. The way he was kind of guided was different. Even though he said to us at one stage when he was 8 or 9, I'm an atheist. We thought it was probably a good thing, because they have to rebel somewhere,
Sure.
And me and his mother were totally like way out spiritual types, so he had to kind of put his foot down. But in his own way, he's manifested his reality, and he's now 22 on his path, manifesting it. He wouldn't call it maybe manifesting it, but he's got a flow. He's being very successful, very happy doing what he wants to do. And then I've seen other children. There was a woman I was dating for a while, her 2 children. I couldn't understand how they just download. They were doing video games all day long. They would do their GCSEs and get high grades. And I'm like, how is this possible? They're not studying.
Yeah.
And I saw actually with Ian, my stepson as well, he was on video games all day long, not studying, and got high grades. It's just, they have a different type of intelligence in a way. when I did my O levels, it was at the time I had to study. I wasn't really just download. I had no concept of just downloading stuff. It would be great. I studied for months.
Right? Like Edgar Cayce, that's what he did. He just would go and take a nap on his books, and then he had all the information. It's very much like that.
Yeah, and Tesla, Tesla of the 1920s,
exactly,
just would dream it all into being. Right. These were advanced starseeds, but there were starseeds coming into the planet in the 1920s and 30s, but very few and far between, and they were mostly kind of suppressed. So Tesla was suppressed.
Yes, very much.
Cayce, I think, had a time in Texas and had to leave because it was too dense for him, and found somewhere else to go. Yeah. But there's starseeds from the 50s, Bowie and John Lennon and these types, starseeds, the Starman song.
I know. Oh my gosh. Every time I feel like when there's a new download coming for me or a new guide or something like that, I wake up with Starman in my mind. They sing it to me in my sleep, and then I wake up, I hear, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it's happening in this meditation, this morning's meditation.
Yeah, he was born in Brixton in South London, so I remember there was a big, when he died, there was a big thing of flowers and memorial. Amazing. I think they made a whole wall to him there. It's a it's a very creative part of London, creative part of London. So a lot of these starseeds, they're there, and they're infiltrating all kinds of, yay, David Bowie.
There he is. Oh, but actually, Steve, give me just one moment. I would like to just take a moment to speak about our amazing sponsor for this episode of Charmed Life. I'm very excited to have this sponsor today because so this is just such a powerful episode. I wish we had 2 hours to talk because I just could speak with you, just to sit and listen to you forever. Well, today's sponsor is Zola Registry. This show, as I say in the intro, is about unconditional love, and so is Zola because it is a wedding website, a wedding registry, so much more than just a registry. It has all kinds of fun and easy features, and amazingly, it's free, as all things should be. Currency is just a symbol. Zola Registry has all of your favorite department stores, plus cool things like honeymoon funds, fitness classes, wine subscriptions, and much more. Their friendly customer service team will go above and beyond to be able to help you to find like that perfect blender for your friends, or to help a grandmother navigate a couple's registry. You can personalize the registry, the couple can, with photos and notes about why they are coveting certain gifts. And there is a really cool feature, that group gifting feature, which allows multiple guests to contribute to big ticket items, and more so allows a couple to register for those pricey items guilt-free. I remember that. I remember feeling guilty about something cool that I wanted to put on my registry. Zola has a free suite of wedding planning tools, including free wedding websites, or a couple's Zola Registry can automatically integrate into their wedding website. So to sign up with Zola and receive a $50 credit toward your registry, go to zola.com/charmed. That's ZOLA.com/charmed. And we're back with Steve Nobel talking about starseeds. And now, can we talk about how to connect with the different star beings? By the way, I have to share that just over the past week, I think it is, leading up to our show, I have a blue avian who is connecting with me. And the name that is sort of a feminine energy that she's given me is Lucienne, like of light. So I find that very, very interesting. Yeah. So what tips would you give to someone who is interested in discovering more about their starseed nature or activating that part of their purpose?
Well, a common question for starseeds is, where do I come from? And the answer is, you are a wanderer soul. Which means that you've come from many different places. You haven't come from one system. You've come from many.
Yes. No wonder I connect with so many different ones. They're always coming in different ways. Okay. Thank you.
You can connect with many, and people feel confused. Why am I connecting with this and them and them and them? It's fine. But over time, you'll find that you have a stronger connection to some, because starseeds have stronger bonds with some races than others. But most starseeds have guides from many different places. There are star being guides, and there are also angelic guides from, just as this earth plane has angelic forces, other planes have angelic forces. So I really much enjoy connecting with archangels from Pleiades and archangels from Sirius, for example. And there are other systems. So there are masters of light and there are angel forces on those places. So in meditation, you can call your ascension team, which will be made up of many beings. These ascension teams, as I mentioned earlier, you can ask them to slow down symptoms or speed up things. You can ask them for help. There is a category of starseed called walk-in as well. So a walk-in is a bit different. A walk-in, and they have a special team with them as well, but a walk-in is a high frequency soul that is too high a frequency to come through the birth canal. If you put a high frequency soul like these guys through a 3D mother, it wouldn't work. Right. So a lot of beings have been walk-ins, especially also in the early days and still now. This is the only way you can get them here. You get someone to come in, and then there's a kind of an exchange of souls where one soul says, you know what, I'm out of here. I've done what I need to do. And then there's an exchange happens, and there's a kind of swap over. Usually through some kind of event. It might be a near-death experience or some strong event where the changeover happens. And what happens for walk-ins, usually there's a feeling of discombobulation afterwards. It can be like, what's going on? Who am I? With a walk-in, usually the old soul contracts and old soul mission shifts, and a new one takes place, which can be very confusing for them. If they don't know what's going on, they go, well, why don't I feel passionate about that way anymore? And where am I going? So I do believe this is probably what happened to me in 2010, where I was very happy living this life, being a director of a spiritual company and being essentially married to my second partner for many years and feel this is my life. But I resisted it. And I think eventually there was this walk-in experience, and I had two healers say to me after the experience, you're a walk-in. Go and see this person who's the expert on walk-ins, which I did. And Almira, on my website, there's a podcast with Almira. Okay. And she's kind of the expert on this. And she said, yes, you are one. And she gave me all kinds of help. There are walk-in teams that can help you if you're having a walk-in. Basically, the idea for walk-ins is the physical body stays the same. The cellular memory stays the same. So you have all the memories of the original soul, but the emotional body and mental body and spiritual bodies are different. So it can feel, the body can also feel like it's rejecting a walk-in because the body goes, well, who are you? You know, like, who are you? We don't recognize you. So there's a little bit of a kind of tussle going on, conflict for a while. And eventually, hopefully, the body does accept the new soul. And it's confusing for the walk-in because they're dealing with all these memories of a life they haven't really actually lived. And they may be very closely connected to the old soul, part of the old soul group perhaps, but still they're not that person. So they feel very odd for a while. And so this was me. I went through 4.5 years of this dark night of soul thinking, what's going on? I had no idea what it was. And then eventually came out of it on the other side. And I mean, you might find that people say, like, it's very common for wives or husbands to say when this happens, you're not the person that I married. Right. For someone who's a walk-in, because actually they're not the same person. So that's for walk-ins.
Does it always happen? Do you think it happens sometimes more subtly, like perhaps just in a deep sleep? Or does it, I mean, in your experience, might it happen usually with something like a near death or a seizure, or I hear those are common, something like that, where it's a bit of a traumatic experience in the body? Or
it can happen consciously, where consciously it's rarer. Most commonly it's through some trauma or some shock or some near death or something. But I have heard of certainly people who've had conscious ones, but still the process of assimilation is still difficult, even if it was to happen in your sleep and you'd wake up, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy for you, because you're essentially going, I don't feel I quite fit in this reality. I don't feel, I've got all these body memories and I've got all these, I've got my old life. You know, for example, I was well on track with my old soul contract. I was directing this company. Right. I was meeting all these spiritual people. I was having a great life, you know. I was with someone I loved, I thought I'd be with forever. And then when I had the walk-in, I didn't feel I belonged there anymore in that place. It was a very strange feeling, because this was my family, my home, this career. It wasn't a career, it was a vocation. And suddenly I didn't feel I belonged there. And when I resigned, I gave them a year's notice, thinking, gave them time to find somebody else, because it's a quirky kind of job to fill. But also for me to climb, where am I going to go after this? This has been my family. What am I going to do? Yeah. But and then when I separated from Ursula, my second long-term partner, again, it was a shock, because these were my anchors in my reality. And I went through a kind of real upside down spiral, thinking, I don't know who I am, where I'm going, what I'm here to do. And that took me a while to actually settle down and find this new path and find my new way. And I must say, since it all settled down, I started coming out 2015, really 2016 properly. My life has been much more graceful, much more challenging, but the challenges are, they're not blocking me. They're just helping me kind of become more resourceful in a way. So I found a new level of flow since 2016 that I never experienced, even as a director of alternatives. It was very different. Feel much more blessed now. So yeah, it's very different.
What about something like, so I mean, what you're describing with the walk-in experience, I definitely had that with my metaphysical awakening. With, I had all these mini awakenings, and I was apparently studying consciousness and mindfulness and everything all the while. And when I was a child in the church, in the Christian church, I had all of the spiritual abilities. I had mediumship. I had to put it in the context of what was allowed and what was permissible with that religion. And I definitely sort of had this shift, but I wonder, I think maybe if you get a download, it's not quite as complete as a walk-in where it's a full soul exchange, but you might have a similar experience.
You can have a download more of your own soul light and more of your higher self merged with your body.
There you go. That makes sense. And then that would feel a bit foreign as you are assimilating that big download. That's like you're saying, because I sort of woke up and like, wait, I don't fit here anymore. I think humans don't fit here in general, and I'm not interested in this thing that it was so strange, because it was like, it seemed like just yesterday I was super excited and passionate about this thing, and now it just has no resonance for me anymore. It's weird.
Yeah. It's not as intense as a walk-in, but a download from the higher self and soul. In fact,
that makes sense.
The ascension process is, for a lot of people, a series of downloads, descension, actually, where light is descending into the body.
Right.
We're not meant to leave the body. We're meant to stay grounded in the body, connected to this crystalline grid of the earth. Yes. And I should mention the crystalline grid of the earth, that the energy of the earth itself is shifting. And for a lot of starseeds who haven't felt like it's home here, actually, there are two grids of light in the earth at the moment. One is the old karmic grid. And a lot of spiritual teachers teach us to just ground into the earth willy-nilly and to connect with the red and deep of the earth and grow roots in the earth. Actually, what I suggest is people have a more intentional approach to it. Intend to connect to the 5D crystalline grid, not just the earth, because the earth has two energies at the moment. The outgoing one is not something we really want to be connecting with. The new one, and if you want to know more about the crystalline grid, the channel like Cryon talks about it endlessly. It carries new possibility, whereas the old grid carries the karma of the earth, the pain of the earth, the crimes of the earth. It's not really a good idea to be connected to that. That's being taken out, dismantled, cleared, but it's still there. We're at the moment, we're in a shift between 3D and 5D. So there's still these interplay of energies, the old energies of fear and contraction and separation, and the new energies of love, unity, consciousness, and connection to kind of source energy and universal mind energy and higher self and I am presence and all these kind of energies we can connect to. So we're in a kind of very much in a light dark interplay, where the light and dark are seemingly fighting it out on the planet. And that light-dark interplay is also going on in our own being. The soul and the higher self are kind of not competing or combating, but there is a kind of interplay between the ego, which is fixed and conditioned. We're conditioned in the 3D to have a very fixed ego to get us through, because in the 3D matrix is full of dangers and, all the stuff that goes on. We need an ego to get us through. But in the 4D and 5D matrices, which are expanding, we do not need that ego to get us through. You cannot take the 3D ego into a 4D or 5D reality. It's not possible. Because if you have a reality of love and your inner critic's going, yummy, 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 you're not good enough, you're too fat, you're la, 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 la. We can't resonate with that matrix. You see what I mean?
Absolutely. And now, if something is happening in the life that does draw us into the 3D, such as physical illness or financial despair and all of that, is that just offering the opportunity to continue to connect to the 5D, or how? Because then all that psychic energy, that spiritual energy, kind of goes to fixing the physical, right? How does one overcome? How does one do that balance?
Okay. Well, at the beginning of any awakening, what will happen is whatever your fears or biggest fear is what may be presented to you. So for a lot of people in the 3D matrix, money is a big fear because of survival. When we're trained and almost to some extent enslaved by the system,
of course, to
work hard, to have enough. Oh my God, what happens if I don't have enough? I'll be, years ago, you might be thrown into debtor's prison or thrown on the streets, but still there's a fear of homelessness and all this, which is terrifying. And when I went to America, I was actually shocked by the homelessness crisis in some of the big cities there, probably much worse than England, actually. So this fear of having no money could be a big one. If you have no money, maybe you lose your home, have no home, you're homeless on the streets. If you're on the streets, it's dangerous. Anything can happen, right?
Sure.
So money is a big fear. And often people making a shift often face money as a big problem. Not always, not everyone, but for a lot of people, money is a big problem. So if money is an issue for you, you know that when you step up and out, money is going to be one of the lessons that's going to be presented to you. Mm-hmm. And what you need, I remember before making a big shift in my life, I had a big fear around it, thinking maybe I should just hold on to safety net, hold on. But the releasing of it helped my business expand incredibly. Mm-hmm. But for a while I was thinking, well, it's a risk, I'm not a big risk taker. Yeah. And for a lot of people, money is going to be one of the big things that's going to be presented with them. The other thing that's going to be presented is relationships, challenges. Yeah. Awakening can bring massive relationship challenges. Your husband or wife might not get you anymore, might be very upset about you doing this awakening process. You might feel disconnected. That's a big challenge. Yeah. And the other big challenge is usually health issues, because the body, in holding a lot of light, can start to, actually I've had a few health issues this year because just the speed and intensity of the light coming in, that my body's kind of, and when I get checked up, the doctor says, you're fine, there's nothing there. But, I remember not being able to walk for 1 week. I had a walking stick, my back just seemed to cave in and I just couldn't walk. All these kind of things, and then they pass as if they never were there. So all kinds of issues can come up, but when they do come up, so health, relationships, and money are usually the big three. And with it comes, the associated despair, helplessness. I don't know if I can do this, all the stuff. Because what the universe is saying is you have to take the step through the fear. Now, I have to kind of say something about that. There is a question of timing. We're not asking people to be silly or stupid or just throw everything to the wind, because there was a sense of timing. You may naturally resist a calling, may naturally resist stepping out, but there'll come a point where intuitively it's the right thing, even if your mind is afraid to take the step. That's the time to step through. It's not, well, I think I should just do it. I'm going to dive out, because that's a recipe for disaster. Listen to your intuition and check in and do what you need to do in terms of money, relationships, and health. Be sensible. But there'll come a point where you just have to step through. And the lesson is step through. It's a bit like the Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You remember that film?
Yes.
Where he was faced with a bridge and he couldn't see the bridge, but he had to take the step out into the chasm, and then the bridge appeared. Do you remember that bit?
Of course, yes, absolutely.
So that can happen actually a lot. And a lot of people are saying, well, give me the guarantee and I'll take the step. But the universe is saying step and we'll hold you. So it's a bit of a dilemma, because the ego just goes, this is crazy, I can't do this. Right. But the heart and soul will go, just do it and you'll be fine.
Forces you into presence.
I must say, over the last 20 years of worry and fear, none of it has actually manifested.
Yeah, and so you did all the suffering for no reason. That's what presence asks.
Yeah, my big fear was homelessness. I thought I was going to be homeless, and I even went to the local Hampstead Heath, this massive park, and found the place I would go and sleep if it worked out badly. I'd go and find a nice little grove.
Yeah.
Of course, it never happened.
Sure.
But I had to face the fear and feel it. This is a reality. I could be on the streets,
Yeah.
And we have to face the fear and do it anyway. But once we step through the fear itself has a very powerful effect on our lives. If we make choices out of fear, that has a very, very powerful effect negatively on our reality.
Absolutely.
If we make a choice out of faith and love and trusting our guidance, that has a different impact on our reality.
It makes you stronger because it's the truth of who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not telling people not to look twice before crossing the road. I'm just asking people to trust their intuition, which knows the way, which the mind doesn't always know.
Absolutely. Well, I think we are just about out of time. Yes, Jarvis, are we out of time? This has been amazing. And talk about time going fast. Well, Steve, I would love to have you on another time if you would be willing. We didn't take any calls because there's just so much information, just so much energy really to bring forward. And but it was such an honor. Would you like to please tell people, I would love to mention your YouTube channel where you have countless, I don't know how many, powerful activations. And I mean, I actually give myself a little time when I do one of the activations, a little space around it, because I get a serious upgrade when I do one of yours with my full intention. Sometimes they play in the background and that's lovely and everything, but when I sit down and actually do them as a meditation, then some real shifting happens.
Well, I also shift when I do them myself as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Steve Nobel, Nobel, on the YouTube, and my website is thesoulmatrix.com.
Yes, and also check out his one-on-one sessions. Amazing, really powerful shifting. I can't speak highly enough about the work that you're doing, and I'm so honored and blessed to... Oh, you also have a Facebook group. I think that's a really powerful community as well. Global Lightworkers, is that what it's called?
I've got Global Lightworkers, and if people find... Global Lightworkers, you can find me under Steve Anael Nobel, Nahnael, and you'll find me. I've got two profiles. You have to be careful about that. I don't know if I should be allowed to have two profiles. But...
I think you can. Yeah.
Can I? Oh, okay.
I don't know. Right. Why not? I don't think Zuckerberg is listening, so we're all right.
Okay, that's good.
Well, again, thank you so much. Oh, gosh, I think that, folks, you should listen to this again because besides the actual information, Steve was transmitting a lot of energy, and I know that I'm going to listen back to it because there's a lot of downloaded information here for those who are attracted to it. It's because you are upgrading yourself. And so thank you again, Steve, for being on the program, soulmatrix.com, and I hope to see you again. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.